Now that we've got the basics out of the way, let's start up AzStudio. One note, AzStudio in this configuration has the System Administrator provider installed. Now, since AzStudio has the administrator provider installed in it, it's going to ask you a few questions. The first thing it's going to ask you is what connection should it use as its primary data source. The second thing it's going to ask you is which environment should it start up in. AzStudio has the ability to emulate any environment that you've got configured in the system. Right, your password is always going to be 1234, and your username is always sandbox@montacloud.com. AzStudio is now scanning for plugins, applying security, and rendering its first screen. So let's tour the UIX here. First thing to note is that we have a status panel on the bottom. On the status panel, we're going to have the current user logged in or being emulated. We also have what environment the system thinks it's in right now. We also have what the primary data connection is. We'll describe that in a minute. And we also have what the configuration database connection is. So you can change these, and we'll show you how to do that in a second. But you can change these, and the plugins will reflect those changes immediately. We also have how many plugins have been loaded and how many API extensions have been loaded. Just because these plugins and API extensions are loaded does not mean they will necessarily show up on this menuing system. That's because there is a security layer that's applied. Since we're system administrator, we're going to see everything. All right, the next piece of UIX I'd like to draw your attention to is the static buttons panel. Static button panel has 3 buttons. The first button is the environment button. This lets you change which environment AzStudio is currently emulating. This will reflect to all the plugins. If you're using any APIs that require lookup or require configuration services, they will immediately reflect the new environment choice. Let's keep it in dev for now. The next button we have is configuration. Our configuration data source can be changed. So if you have multiple products or multiple configuration databases for, say, offshore group and onshore group, you can change where you're getting your configuration information. And that will also be immediately reflected in your UIX. The next piece is your data connection. Okay, so primary data connections are used by plugins that really don't need to look anything up. They just want to be a data editor. They just want to edit whatever data is in that particular connection. For instance, if you wanted to look at data in the dev database and you just need to edit, say, I don't know, alert states in the dev database, you can do that. And then you can switch to production and see that they match, or QA. So the tiles that need a direct data connection use this particular connection for their data source. Next are these sets of buttons. These buttons represent submenus. We'll go into each one of those individually at a later time. Suffice it to say that because this is an extensible UIX, you might see more or fewer buttons in this area. These will change based on the plugin content that you have in your plugins folder. Alright, so this big area here is your actual menu display. Right now we're looking at the root menu, and we're looking at pretty much all the tiles that are registered on the root menu. They're color-coded and arranged alphabetically by group. Then the tiles are arranged by loading order. You have a filter here, so that makes it very easy for you to bring these tiles down into a manageable state. The next piece of UIX is, of course, the control buttons next to the filter bar. This control button clears the filter, and this control bar brings up help options. The most interesting help option you have here is the last, Help AzStudio Common. This is going to let you look at our actual help documentation, and really takes you down deep into our APIs and classes that are available in the AzStudio Common package. Next up is the global log. Almost every plugin UIX that you're going to see today has a logging panel, and this logging panel at the top level is glued in or plugged into all the logging streams from all plugins. So if you have a problem viewing a log, or you close a plugin before you've read the log, or you just want to see what's going on with more than one plugin at a time, this is a great place to do so. Then we're over here at the task panel. The task panel is another way for plugins to just express themselves to you. And instead of having just a title, they can actually give you a plain English name of what they're trying to do. A plugin may expose itself in several places in the task panel. Okay, that's the UIX in a nutshell. Keep in mind that this entire experience can be branded, and it can actually be altered. So you may not see the same graphics or icons or even the same arrangement of things when you get it from your reseller. Thanks for watching.